You're chatting with a friend about a trip you both took years ago. You bring up that hilarious moment at the airport, when the luggage conveyor belt jammed and someone's suitcase exploded open. You both laugh, until your friend looks confused. They say, "That never happened." You're stunned. You can see it so clearly. The details, the chaos, the sound of rolling shampoo bottles. It has to be real. Right? Welcome to the strange and fascinating world of false memories, when your brain confidently remembers things that never actually happened. And what's even more surprising? This isn't rare. It's happening to all of us, all the time. For decades, memory was seen as a mental filing cabinet. You experience something, your brain records it, and you store it for later, like a video archive. But modern neuroscience has turned that idea upside down. Your memory is not a recording device. It's a reconstruction machine. And sometimes, it reconstructs things that never existed in the first place. One of the most well-known experiments in this field comes from psychologist Elizabeth Loftus. In a study that shook the world of psychology, Loftus and her team were able to implant entirely false memories in participants, by simply suggesting that something had happened to them as a child, like getting lost in a mall. Within days, a significant number of people not only believed the story, but began filling in extra details. They described what the mall looked like, what they were wearing, even what store they had wandered into. None of it ever happened. So how does this happen? How does the brain create convincing lies, and then believe them? It starts with how memories are formed. When you experience something, your brain doesn't store a perfect copy. It stores pieces, fragments of visual cues, emotional tones, sounds, and sensations. Then, every time you recall that memory, your brain reconstructs it, kind of like reassembling a puzzle. But here's the twist. Each time you reconstruct it, you can alter it, add things, leave things out, or combine it with other similar experiences. And once the memory is changed, it gets stored again in its new, edited form. This is known as memory reconsolidation, and it's why your memories aren't just fragile, they're editable. One powerful example of this happens during police investigations. Witnesses often give confident accounts of events, only to later be proven completely wrong. In fact, the Innocence Project, which works to overturn wrongful convictions, found that eyewitness misidentification is a leading cause of false imprisonment, and false memory plays a huge role in that. And here's where it gets even weirder. False memories aren't just accidents. Your brain sometimes intentionally rewrites reality to protect you. Say you had a traumatic event, your brain might alter or erase parts of it to reduce emotional pain. Or it might blend the memory with a happier one. This is your brain's survival instinct kicking in, reshaping your past to make your present bearable. At this point, if you're finding this breakdown of memory both mind-blowing and slightly unsettling, do me a favor, hit that like button. It helps the algorithm know that you love deep science storytelling. And if you've ever had a memory that turned out to be false, tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear what it was. And make sure to subscribe, because this rabbit hole goes even deeper, and we're just getting started. Now, back to the memory maze. Let's talk about the Mandela Effect. Maybe you've heard of it. It's when large groups of people remember something a certain way, only to find out it's wrong. Like remembering the Monopoly man with a monocle, he doesn't have one. Or thinking the Berenstain Bears were spelled Berenstein. These aren't just typos, they're shared false memories. Some blame parallel universes, but science points to memory overlap and the brain's tendency to fill in gaps based on pattern recognition. Then there's source confusion. Ever tell a story and swear it happened to you, only to realize later you read it in a book or saw it in a movie? That's your brain confusing the source of the information. When we retrieve memories, we don't always tag them with a reliable source stamp. The more real they feel, the more likely we are to believe them, regardless of where they came from. But maybe the biggest twist in all of this is that false memories feel just as real as true ones. Brain scans show that when people recall both real and false memories, the same regions of the brain activate, especially the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex. That means your brain can't always tell the difference. And neither can you. So what's the takeaway? Should we stop trusting our memories? Not necessarily. But we should understand them for what they are: reconstructions, not recordings. Dynamic, editable, and sometimes wrong. And that's not a flaw, it's part of what makes us human. Memories aren't just about the past. They shape how we see ourselves, how we relate to others, and how we imagine the future. But maybe the most powerful thing about knowing your memories aren't perfect is that it teaches you to be more open, to question your assumptions, to listen more closely, to accept that sometimes what you remember and what actually happened aren't always the same thing. And maybe, just maybe, that's okay.